colors of the morning stars, love expanded, infinite, come to earth, a hero's journey, finding what has always been, finding what has always been, finding what has always been. Feel me now, I am the avatar. No ego here remains. I've washed away my pain, and now I am alive again. My power is insane, ineffably contained.
Welcome, everyone.
Hello, beautiful souls.
Yes, yes. Welcome back. Another
Great.
day.
It's a great
Exciting
day.
things all happening one way or the other.
To say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. One of the things about here is it's never a dull moment, and that's the way I like it anyway. Most times, because most times it's something exciting and enriching. I'm always, spending time in nature or like all of those kind of things. So it's pretty awesome, actually. So Will told me this morning that Michael has been on this call every time, every event he's been here for. I have no idea how long, how often, but
Michael Harder, yeah, he's always been here.
Yeah. So what is it? What's this? 56? 57. So congratulations, Michael. Way to go, bud. What a commitment. What a commitment. So anyway, with some interesting things taking place, and what we'd like to do is to get everybody on the same page. So I know when there's new people, it's pretty hard to walk into the things we're talking about and discussing and that. So it's just over the top for a lot of people. So what we're going to do is do the welcoming intro. You could throw that one on, Will. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Don Smith. That's Don with 2 N's. And I'm here to share with you what I've developed over 44 years that I call I Am Divinity. I say that I am divinity because I'm divine and so are you. No matter what you've done and what you haven't done, you are divine, you always were and you always will be. And it gets all covered up. And so all of those trips to the personal developments and all of those things, and they don't hold, and did you ever question yourself? Instead of just going back and getting the next one and the next one and the next one and none of them hold? Well, there's a reason for that. A very big reason is because you're working at a belief level of who you think you are. That's what beliefs are, both negative and positive. They're who we think we are. So going from a negative belief to a positive belief is not the answer whatsoever. It's about the knowing of who we truly are. There's knowing. It isn't a belief. And so all of these ideas of doing this and all of those trips to the wherevers, it's like dealing with a piece of something. But this is not a piece of anything. This is the total knowing of who you are. And what I've developed over this 44 years is a process that's instant and it's permanent. Now, the permanent comes in by you doing something for holding it. But I'm telling you, there's people have this for years and it's instant. And how do I say that with such boldness? Well, put it in the category of a phobia. 90% of the population has a phobia of something. Bugs, snakes, rats, heights, water, whatever. And my question to you is, how long did it take for you to create that phobia? Yes, you're right. 1 instant. And yet everybody questions me about that. And yet that's all it took. 1 instant. So now what I did was I reverse engineered near-death experiences and phobias to find out how they worked, and I reverse engineered it. So if you can create a phobia in a second, and most times it's before the age of reason, which is 4, 5, 6. Think about that. At that young of an age, that in 1 second, you created a lifetime phobia. Well, it's a lifetime phobia because you're holding on to it for protection. That's how the ego works. It's going to get you to hold on to something that's harmful for you so it can keep you aware in case it happens again. That's how toxic your ego is. And it's not your ego, it's the ego. Sorry, my mistake. Because you are much more than an ego. And so what it's about is if you create it in a second, why would it take any longer than a second to reverse it if you knew how you did it? That's what I do. That's one of the pieces. And then the other is the permanentness of it all. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. What color are your eyes? What color are those eyes of yours? Now you tell me how long you've had that color. Yeah, your whole life. That's permanent. Would you agree? But look at the permanentness of a phobia. You had it from age 4 to 84. That's 80 years. You'd think that was permanent. but it was created in a second, and you can reverse it in a second. So it's not. That's what I'm saying. So that's what we're talking about. Something that's instant, something that's permanent, and it's about who you truly are. Your divinity, your divine. Don't ever forget it. Always remember it. And all of these other things are happening because you have an attachment to the personal development system of beliefs and changing a belief from a negative to a positive. It's not going to hold. It will not hold. Yes, there will be improvements. Congratulations on doing that. That's searching. I'm talking about a shift from this to a shift from this. Who we're not to who we are. And then doing a simple exercise. Takes 5 minutes, 3 times a day to hold it. And there you have it. That's it. That's who you are. That's why it's like the color of your eyes. The color of your eyes has been that way all this time, and you still have that color. Well, it's the same. Who you truly are is permanent. Who your beliefs are not, because it's not true. No matter how much you believe, the negative or the positive about those beliefs, they're false. And so, I'm here to share with you to go on a journey under 2 hours. Now I'm talking about, like I've worked with 15 different pro athletes or Olympians, okay? That's just in sports. And then mega billionaires, millionaires, and health, cancer. You know, one guy, yeah, I met him in the garbage room in Vancouver. I opened up the door and there he is. And he's so gray and he's humped over and he's like, you think he was going to die any second. I said, holy shit, man, you don't look too good. What's going on? He said, oh, I got prostate cancer. I've had it for 16 months. I've had 32 radiation treatments. And I don't know how much time I have. I said, don't listen to that bullshit. Can I ask you a few questions? Within that 15 minutes, I had asked him all these questions. And all I knew about him was his name was Al. 3 weeks later, I get a call from him, the same guy. He said, hi, Don, this is Al Valjanic. I met you in the garbage room 3 weeks ago. Yeah? Well, I don't have any cancer. Now, I could fill this room with those stories. Fill this room with those stories. And you can access this magnificent, powerful, divine energy called I Am Divinity. And what's natural about it, it matches who you truly are. That's the key. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting that you will know who you are, and it will override and supersede who you think you are. Now, if you're tied up with that persona that you've developed, in a second, I might add, and kept it all this time, like I just worked with a guy that when he was 9, his mom died, and he decided to harden his heart. And he hardened his heart the next 40 years. And that's what all his issues were about. We went back, cleaned that up, boom, it's gone. All the symptoms were all gone. That's how easy it is, and that's how simple this is. So if you want to continue with your hard work and all of those kind of things, and going back and paying for this again, that again, and this again, and the counseling and the therapy and coaching and all of that, go ahead, by all means. But if you want to be free, free to be you, free to be who you truly are. And those eyes, every time you look in the mirror, it will remind you how magnificent you are. And that's how this process is about, whether it's in an individual or whether it's in group. And I welcome you to join us in this journey of raising humanity's consciousness from its existing 210 to 700. That's right, you heard it right. 210 to 700. So it's an awesome journey. We're looking for 100 that are willing to go to 700 to raise humanity's consciousness. So I welcome you, and I'll see you on our journey. So here we go. Well, I don't know if you know me or not. My name is Don Smith, and this is
Sam Hidja.
way to go, Sam. So,
Changing my name to Sam Divine soon, though, actually, legally.
okay, good. Yeah. That's good. As Jamie did to his, Jamie Divine. So nice to have everyone on the call. You know, every once in a while there's things that happen in one way or another that leads to a topic. And one of the things is like pretty well everybody knows the word placebo. Something positive that gives you a positive outlook or a belief or whatever. That's what a placebo is. Well, a nocebo is the opposite. A nocebo is the opposite. I don't know the year. I know it was like, you know, 2012 or like somewhere in that vicinity, or even 2010. And it was somebody that my wife Rosie knew. And it was the 20th of December. And he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you have 2 weeks to live. That's nocebo. That's nocebo. You have 2 weeks to live with cancer. I can't remember the exact what it was, like whatever. He said, get your things in order. You may not even last to Christmas Day. And this was the 20th, I believe, or 18th of December. So anyway, Rosie asked me if I'd work with him, so I did. And actually, that was now that I remember, how I remember things is which vehicle I had at the time. That's how I remember. I had an SL55 and Mercedes. And so that would have been like 2008, somewhere in there. And he came to see me. I took him through the process. And let me see, when was it? It was 3 years later. He's still fine. And they told him, like, get your things in order. 8, 10, 12, 2 weeks. And it's that bad. And so it's the power, especially the power from people that have power. Like, you know, a doctor or a president or, you know, whatever, say things. And they're saying them from their knowledge and understanding. And, I mean, this has happened numerous times for me. You know, people hear about me and they've already been given the nocebo by the doctor. You have this much time and get your things in order. And yeah, they believe it. And remember that there's two systems here. There's that the system of negative beliefs and positive beliefs. So how many would have still be alive if they were told by the doctor, listen, you know, find some, like, change your like whatever, like really you still have a chance, like start eating different, like whatever those are. But no, it's like many times, and I've been on the other end of the scale with people having cancer. Like, I lost my wife and daughter within 15 months of each other, both of cancer. Rosie, breast cancer, Shelley, ovarian cancer. Rosie, my wife, and Shelley, my daughter. And but I will say something that I found out for many, but definitely through the intimacy of my wife and my daughter. And so my wife, she had 4 children, and she one of them, the youngest, he actually, I was beside her when she said the conversation. His name was Harvey. Said, okay, Harvey, you have to do something with your life. Either go back to university, because he had graduated, go to university or travel. You decide, but you're not hanging around doing nothing. And so he decided to travel. And he had an addiction that he didn't want to do anything about. And he ended up, Rosie got the news that he had died in Laos of a drug overdose. I think there was 5 or 6 in that whole family. Any of you think that money is the answer? Their grandfather was the richest man in Canada. So if you think money is your solution, yeah, no. What it does, it just masks things. It masks. So you get to use money to oh, this will fix this problem. This will fix this. Let's just do that. And yeah, so so many people are, it's crazy how they're driven for money, and yet the money is doesn't solve the underlying issues at all, actually. May pay for a course you're going to take, but that's the extent of it. And so once again, it's like just throwing money at it. And so when Rosie told Harvey that, just, you're going to have to do something with your life, decide. And he decided to travel, and he ended up dying of a drug overdose in Laos. And I believe there was 6 in that family that died prematurely, like before 33. Before 33. He was 23, I think. 22, 23. And his brother was in AA at the age of 12. Like, and we're talking about the richest family in Canada. So if you're chasing money, you might want to listen to those words, thinking that money is the answer. Okay? So, does that make sense to you?
Makes total sense. Makes total sense.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I remember just being, hitting like the top 1% of every company, and then I thought that making more money was going to solve my issues. And then I get there and it's like, oh wow, like actually got worse. Panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I wanted to end it. And so it's like I know for a fact that that's 100% true.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Guaranteed. Like it.
Janice says you can cry on a yacht.
And I've seen that, Janet.
And Don's had yachts.
A yacht, not yacht.
Oh, a yacht. A yacht and then a boat.
Yeah. Well, Rosie had the boat, I had the yacht.
Yeah.
We're hard done by. We had 6 vehicles and 7 motorcycles, and a yacht and a boat. Yeah. Yeah, so we're really roughing it as far as material possessions. Yeah, and once again, it's definitely not the answer. Yes, it makes it easier. It does make things easier at times, and lots of fun. I'm a speedster, so I had a Formula One race car that had it going 300 kilometers an hour with my son on the passenger seat, telling his buddy, I'm saying, Yeah, 290. Trevor had his phone saying to his buddy, 290, 292, 292, 294, 294, all the way to 300. And so, yeah, you can have fun. You can travel, you can do all those kind of things.
But it's not in front of divinity.
No,
That's
nothing.
that's the
Actually, that's the biggest thing. Go ahead, say.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like we're not saying not to have money. Like,
Yeah, I'm
it's
saying money's not the answer is the point I'm making.
exactly. Why not be ineffably blissful on a yacht?
Yeah. Do you hear that, Janet? Yeah.
With your whole divinity family, just
Yeah,
you're not having to pop champagne because you're
you're
gonna go
already
cry that
high.
night.
You're high on life, high on divinity. And so, just coming back, you know, the way that people see life and they get caught up in things like thinking money is going to be the answer. And I've seen people give up their divinity for money. Like it's one of the biggest traps, one of the biggest traps actually, giving up the money, not giving up the money, giving up you know, finding ways to have more money and walking away from not taking the time. Like imagine, okay, 10 minutes 3 times a day, like that's 30 minutes, 30 minutes, you know, could you do that?
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
Sometimes I'm in the bathroom for longer, so
yeah, right.
like
And so when it's tough in that, that's because the ego is working on you, on your weaknesses. And I know we're skipping back and forth and all over the place. Heard complaining for longer. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. And but the discipline it takes, and then being able to see the results, that's another thing that people have difficulty with. It's like uh, this and this and this happened, but they didn't even notice that it happened. Lots of times it was me asking the questions and say, yeah, like what happened down in the last 2 weeks? Because my process is like, if a one-on-one, I take the person through the process today, 2 weeks later, approximately 10 to 18 days, depending on how they're doing, do phase 2. And then 2 weeks to 3 weeks do phase 3. And I just get them to, you know, keep track of the changes and write them out and do this divine focus, you know. And I do try to get them to do 20 minutes, but most times I settle for 10. And here's an example, like, you know, go out in nature, like just go for a walk. And this one guy said, he was in the corporate world. Oh yeah, you know, I don't have time, you know, like, well, can you be in nature for 10 minutes, man? Can you be in nature for 10 minutes? No, like it's just so hard to get 10 minutes. I said, okay, let's do this. You got 2 options. Go buy yourself a plant, put it in your office, okay? And have it watch your plant. And the other thing is go for a crap for 10 minutes. Okay, go sit on the throne for 10 minutes. Okay, no one's going to knock on the throne, the door to say your 10 minutes is up. Like, find that 10 minutes. And it's so difficult because the ego makes it difficult. Ego makes it difficult for you to be in your light, especially starting off. And there's some that can just hold it and just go, shh. And that's awesome to watch that. It's just so smooth and easy, and yeah. Yeah, and of course, kids, but we can make 1,000 reasons. But one of the things is if my kids get up at 7, hey, maybe I could get up at 6:30. You know, like there is the only excuses are the ego excuses. That's the only excuses. Yeah. So anyway, coming back to the guy that had the cancer and was given like, 8-10 days to live, and took the process. The last time I had talked to him, it was a year and a half. No trace of cancer. No trace of cancer gone. So be cautious about the nocebo. That's what I was saying. Be cautious. Who's telling you that? And know that that's a belief system. That's a belief system. Okay? Your knowing is so much higher than a belief. It's immeasurable, actually, in comparison. The difference between a belief, either negative or positive, because the negative one is the nocebo and the positive one is the placebo. Okay, and then way above that is the knowing, and that's our divine focus. That's our divine focus. In 10 minutes, well, I spend 2 to 3 hours before I entertain connecting with the world. Yeah. And yeah, it's just me and the divine. And with what I shared yesterday, I thought, okay, well, I'll share this today.
All right, I'm ready.
So, how do I recognize God? What's God look like? What's God sound like? What's God feel like? What is it? What is it? And I mentioned this different times. Like I sleep outside, and where I am, there's half of the outside on the patio, the veranda, whatever the hell you want to call it. Half of it's got a roof, and the other half doesn't. So I have a cot that I roll out, and where there's no roof. Okay, and I start there. And then if it happens to rain, I just get up in the middle of the night and roll it out. I'll roll it underneath the roof part, but I stay outside. And so anyway, that's where I was doing this when I was, how do I recognize God? And I'm thinking, what about air? What about that fly? How did it get to be able to fly? Or how about that flock of birds? There was 50 of them, and they went. How'd they all do that all in unison? How is that possible? To just. What about the air on your skin? Where'd that come from? Huh? Or, oh my God, look at the stars. Look at those stars. Oh, wonder who created that. Wonder who created those. Or the full moon. Or the sky itself. Or a cloud. Or a crow. Or a bird. Or a dog. Or a cat. Where is the God energy? I'm going to tell you it's everywhere. And the more that we become aware of that God energy out there, and then start becoming aware of the God energy in here and what that's like, and measuring that divineness. I am divine. What's the big difference then? I'm a piece of shit. I'm a piece of garbage. You know? And different ones that share their story and beating themselves up for being such a piece of garbage or whatever. I'm not good enough. I'm hateful. And believe in that bullshit. And yet, when we see and recognize this being in our light, and that's why it's so important to remember our divine focus. That's what it is. Okay? It's like, wow, this is who I truly am. This is it. This is who I truly am. What is this in?
We got that.
Huh?
He's putting it in there.
Okay. Okay. And so, you know, what's that look like, sound like, whatever. And that's who we are. And imagine, you know, getting to the level of, you know, God's out there to God's in here or God's everywhere. Like how did all of this get created? How did that happen? And if that's the case, then how powerful are we? How powerful are we? And then the opposite of that is phobias. People having multiple phobias. Do you know anyone that has a phobia, or do you ever have a phobia?
I wouldn't say I had a phobia. I had some fears.
Oh, okay. Maybe you could share a fear.
Uh, probably
We'll have a listen to this.
probably fear of heights.
No.
Not probably. I had a fear of heights.
Oh, you had a fear of heights.
Well, I had a fear of most things.
Oh, you had a fear of most things.
Yeah,
but they weren't phobias.
I wouldn't say it was like afraid of dying. Like it wasn't deathly afraid.
Oh, you weren't deathly afraid.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So what's that level like?
I'd say like
1 to 10. Like where does the phobia start?
well, I would say probably like where does the phobia start?
Yeah, like okay, so it's a fear, right?
Yeah, so I
Does
think the
everybody
fear is
having fun
probably
listen to this?
2 to 3.
What?
2 to 3
2 to 3. So 2 to 3 is
out of 10.
I'm sorry?
The fear level would probably be the 2 to 3.
2 to 3.
Yeah.
And then what do you do?
What do you mean?
Well, what do you do if it's a 2 or 3? You're afraid of heights or
Close my heart.
Oh no, well, yeah, no, you're getting ahead. I'm talking about you're in it.
Yeah.
What happens?
I try to keep myself safe
Oh, from what?
from the thing,
Everybody listening?
external,
What?
the external fear.
The external fear. What do you need to be safe from?
I'm not understanding the question.
Oh. Well, you just said to control the fear, right?
Yeah.
Fear of what?
Fear of what? Like, are you saying something specific?
Yeah, like you have a fear. What's the fear? What's the end result of that fear? If the worst thing happens?
Dying.
Oh, dying.
Dying.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And how many different ones did you have? Just the one, or
I would say
heights?
heights for sure.
Yeah.
Being controlled.
Oh, being controlled.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Does everybody want to do that one?
Yeah, let's do that one. Let's do that one. I like that one.
So, have you ever been in a relationship where you were controlled?
Yes, probably like most of them.
Most. How many is most?
That's a hard one.
Oh, is it like 80%, 100%,
Oh,
90?
I'd say like 80%. Yeah.
Okay. And how many of them were controlling?
How many
How many?
how many women were controlling?
Yeah. Or you had trouble?
I
Yeah.
have trouble counting all of them.
And so what's the fear of being controlled?
The fear of being controlled is
Like, what's the worst thing can happen if this lady that you're,
I don't have control of my own life.
and if you don't have control over your own life, what's the worst thing that could happen?
I give my power away.
No, no, that's part of how you're protecting yourself, trying to give your power away.
Yeah.
And what's the worst thing about that?
Not knowing.
Not knowing what?
The fear, basically the fear of the unknown.
Oh, the fear. Okay, is everybody get that? The fear of the unknown. Because what could happen in the fear of the unknown?
Get blindsided.
And then what could happen with that blindsidedness?
You die.
Oh, you want to do another one or?
No, that's good. They all go back to dying.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Every single one.
Oh, every single one. Did everybody hear that one? So every single phobia. Oh, fear. Sorry, I didn't mean to put it
Phobia.
again.
Let's just say it's phobia.
Oh, well, I'm saying it's a phobia, but I was going to let you say fear for a while.
No, yeah, phobia.
Oh, it is a phobia.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
phobia.
Now, do you notice how guarded he was about that? To start with, no, it's not a phobia. It's only a fear. It's only a fear.
Well, I was
No.
getting mixed up in the semantics.
Oh, yeah, you were. For
Yeah.
sure.
It's been hard to use 3D language lately.
I see. So all of your fears were actually phobias.
Yes, all phobias.
All the phobias, and all phobias are I'm going to
Die.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And what's the most ridiculous one of all of them? While you're thinking of them, I'll tell you the one I found the most hilarious. You can just keep thinking, okay?
Think about that one.
So, Nina, Jamie's sweetheart, he got her, of course, to take the process right after they met. And she had a bunch of phobias, but one of them, now listen to this, okay? Now, what I'm saying to you is the illogicalness of a phobia. Completely illogical. And every phobia is, I'm going to
Die.
I'm going to die. Okay? That's what it is. Underneath it, and whether it's at a 2 or a 10 or a plus 30, okay? It's I'm going to die. Do you know what hers was? Seaweed. Now tell me how absolutely ridiculous that sounds, that seaweed, okay, let's pretend this is seaweed, okay, and it's rubbing back and forth in the water, and I'm going to die from it. Okay? That's how absolutely ridiculous phobias are. And now listen to this. This is the system we're relying on to protect ourselves. How crazy is that? We're relying on a system that's telling you that you're going to die from seaweed. Okay? Now, yes, heights and snakes and whatever. But I'll tell you a story, you know, like the story of Nikki and I, my sweetheart. She lived up in the wilderness, and I mentioned this one before. And I'm saying this one because if we did the phobia piece, I'm pretty sure at least one of us, if not both of us, wouldn't be here right now. And she lived up way the hell up in the northern tip of British Columbia in the wilderness. and she had a little 16-foot runabout. And we went, it was a season of the salmon. And there was a creek and a waterfall. And that's where all the bears hung out. Yeah, grizzly bears. You know those big brown ones? Yeah, those. And so different times we would walk up the stream to the waterfall. Only this time she said, let's go through that old growth forest there, because they like big, massive trees. And so that's what we're doing. We're going through there. And there was a creek about yay wide, yeah, sometimes this wide. And it snaked through all of these big Douglas fir trees. And she was, from me to Sam, ahead of me. And she got down to get a drink of water. And there was a big bush. It was about this high. It was like this. And while she was drinking, all of a sudden we heard a snort. On the other side of that bush was an 800-pound grizzly bear. The both of us simultaneously just calmly started backing up, just breathing nice and quiet, not a fear at all. Backed up. Finally, the bear stood up, turned around its head, looked at us, snorted, and walked the other way. Now, do you know how that happened? Zero fear for either one of us. Okay? So the opposite of being terrified of seaweed. Did you get that? Like, we would have been dead if the bear had sniffed the adrenaline of fear. We wouldn't have made it. One of us for sure. Okay? So when you think about how illogical it is to trust in a system that you're going to die from seaweed. And I use that one because it's so ridiculously ridiculous. Okay? But there's one lady out of New York, and she had 285,000 followers buying her cosmetic, whatever cosmetic stuff she had. Okay? And I was working with her and her husband. And she's on my website, actually. And when we got to this whole phobia thing, I unpacked it and was like, okay. And she said, oh my God, I've got I've got 100 phobias. And she started listing them all. 100 phobias. How crazy is that? 100 phobias. Like, where could you go? See, now the other thing you need to remember is, listen, just because it's just fear of snakes, phobia of snakes, or phobia of heights, or phobia of butterflies, you know, there's no logic. There is no logic to this. Tell me how logical it is that seaweed going like this in the water could kill you, that you could die from it. Okay? Got it? And what I'm talking about is the system you're trusting, that you're trusting in. Okay? And now the ego's got you convinced to hold on to that system that doesn't work. That's totally illogical. And you're believing that and trusting in that. Instead of, now that's the not good enough, not worthy, not loved, okay? Not safe, all of those. That's that system. And you're trusting in it. What do you think of that? Anybody, would you like to comment?
Pretty insane.
Okay?
The thing that's telling you you have a phobia is the one that you're trusting to get you keep you safe.
Yeah. Did you hear what he just said? Could you say that again?
So the system that created the phobia is the one that you're trusting to keep you safe.
Yeah. The one that keeps reminding you you're going to die from whatever. Whatever. And if you have one, all I'm telling you is you are trusting in that system, whether it's one or the lady, I forget her name now. Jamie remembers those kind of things. 100. One or 100, it's a system. Okay? So now what I want you to do is think about, for those of you that have had the experience of being in your light, experiencing something that you would have been terrified of previous. Have you got one of those, Sam?
Sure. Yeah. I
Like
mean,
since you got into the divinity, okay, have you experienced something that would have been phobic?
100%. I was just thinking about that actually. So
Hey, please.
what where did I go? I was somewhere in Southeast Asia and we were on a mountain
Yeah.
with my former wife and we were like very high up and I was so deathly afraid. And then whenever we went to Divinity Mountain, I didn't have a single fear. I was just walking like, hey, like, this is another day in the park, like,
Yeah.
but I was definitely afraid. Like I was sweating so hard a couple of months ago,
Mm-hmm.
thinking I was gonna fall off. And it was like about the same height,
Right.
not much different.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see the difference between then and now.
And know that there's nothing logical about a phobia. There's nothing logical about a phobia. Tell me how logical it is I'm going to die from seaweed. Anybody? Anybody got an answer for that one? Okay. Anybody got an answer? How am I going to die from seaweed?
It's gonna strangle you.
And that's what I'm saying is this, what system are you trusting? And yet you're trusting in a system that is, well, tell me how effective that system was to keep you safe.
It was, if anything, it was the thing that would have made me fall and die.
Oh, interesting. How does that work, Sam?
Well, like there's no logical explanation as to why you're gonna fall and die. It's like then you get to where you're at, and then it's like okay, now your whole nervous system shuts down,
Yes.
and you just like now you're literally focusing on the fear that you're trying to avoid,
Yeah. And
rather
frozen.
than just frozen and like oh like I don't know what to do, like my legs are not
Yeah,
working, my
don't
knees
know what to
buckle.
do. So now the decision making is totally off the chart. Okay.
Rather than just like being here and now and just knowing that hey I'm like everything's fine like I'm
Yeah.
good like it kind of reminds me of like what you were talking about the boulder jumping
Oh,
like if you had a phobia of any kind of whatever and you froze mid-air trying to do a boulder like jump on a boulder you would have like slipped or something and hurt yourself
yeah.
so that's kind of what comes up it's like it's the thing that actually creates the phobia and then also is I mean, yeah, like
Well, on the boulder jogging, the beautiful thing about the boulder jogging is this: you cannot think. There is no thought. You don't have time to think. If you think, you're going too slow and you will fall. And it's incredibly hazardous. Okay? Okay, you can fall at any and everybody's saying, are you crazy? What are you doing? And yet my grandson, Gretzky, who is now 12, he can out jog me on boulder jogging
wow.
at 12 because he's you know. Yeah, it's an awesome sport. Uh, now people put this in the category of meditation. I put it in the category of divine focus. Because you cannot think. And isn't that what meditation is like, being in the moment, those kind of things. It depends on how people describe it. And for me, it's like, yeah, like, when I was in Cabo San Lucas, and I would go around the pier all the way around and back, and I would do that 5 times. And never once have a thought. Never once have a thought. Not one thought. How does that work? And yet this phobia of seaweed, that's what creates that. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die from this seaweed. So I'm bringing this to the forefront. And here's where the difficulty is. It's unfortunate that the people that you may have shared this with, they're in I'm going to die. And so they find a reason or excuse not to do the process. And it's their system that's trying to keep them, but it's the ego that's terrified of dying. And that's why it comes up with these absolutely ridiculous excuses as to why not to take this.
So I have something to share.
You go.
I don't know what you think about this, but my girlfriend was talking about she didn't want to do the process because she wasn't going to be able to eat rice. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's
I won't be able to eat rice, and then
yeah,
if I don't eat rice, I'm gonna starve. If I'm gonna starve, then I'm gonna die.
yeah, it's yeah. So there's no end to the ego fear system. It doesn't stop. There's no end to it. And the point I'm making is compare that to me boulder jogging with no thought. Okay, and I'm talking about boulders that are jagged or like big boulders. There's one place, I can't remember where it is, and the boulders are like, they're like this, and you have to jump from over to there, and crevices in between the boulders because they're so big. You could literally die. I mean, but there's no thought of that. I'm not thinking. I'm just my system intuitively, rapid fire has the next boulder ready when I leave that one. It's intuitive. And so imagine using that all the time. And that's what I'm talking about our divinity. Is that like just that flow, being in the moment, and just allowing and shutting the thinker's system off, and just being there and trusting in that divine energy. That's the difference. And 98% of the people that would, if they went boulder jogging, they would be hard done by. And the reason being is because they couldn't stop thinking of how they were going to die. That's the difference. So anyway.
Yes, what comes up for me is like whenever we went rafting, and I kept on thinking like, damn, I'm gonna freaking fall out. Like,
okay, now listen to this. Okay, question. And if you fall out, what happened?
I'm gonna drown
Oh,
or hit a rock, and I did.
And no, wait, no. If you hit a rock, and then what's going to happen if you hit a rock?
I'll either be paralyzed or die.
Oh, okay. And you're trying to decide which one's better.
Yeah.
Would I rather die than be paralyzed, or would I rather be paralyzed and still live?
Yeah, right.
And these are rapid fire questions, answers. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's such a big difference now just being in my divinity. Like everything just flows. Everything. Like whether it's conversations, getting work done, like just like if I need to make a decision in that moment, it's already done. Like I don't have to think about it.
Yeah,
And I used to be a huge overthinker, like
right.
crazy overthinking, like planning for like weeks and like having to have control of everything. And now I'm like perfectly okay with the unknown and not having control of anything because
Now, just out of curiosity,
yeah,
you said
for sure.
something, yeah.
Hey, I'm open.
Yeah, I know. This is fun. Uh, it's like they trying to be in control,
Yeah,
and that's the issue you had with all your women.
100%.
I'm trying to control you, and here you're trying to control.
Yeah, I mean, no wonder I attracted them.
And that's how that works. We do attract what's you know what's going on
Underneath the hood.
yeah, underneath the hood.
I had a diagnostic check.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hook her up to the
Gilbert, not your ego, the ego.
yeah, yeah. No, there's no your ego here. It's the ego. Yeah, the ego. Yeah.
It's
So
funny because like now you can laugh at it.
yeah.
You know, it's
So
just
know that no matter what the ego does, and all those behaviors and all of the things, it's not who you are. It's not who you are. It's not. Yeah. So um, anyway,
that also takes away like a lot of pressure off of like just going back into your divinity because you know that's not you. That system is not you. So if
which system? You got to be
the
clear.
ego system is not
Okay.
you,
Yeah.
so there's no attachment there.
Right.
You can the true you is light. And so it's like when you can recognize this, okay, I can come right back in, even if I'm here for a moment, come right back into my light.
So
No problem.
let's do a little experiment here. Want each of you now to think of either a fear or a phobic response to something. Just go there for a sec, just for a sec.
I feel like I have one now.
Now just leave that over on the left-hand side there. Just leave it over there. And notice that system, what it was like. Trying to protect yourself, all of that, the rapid fire, what could happen, all of that. Now go to one of your most amazing divinity states where you did something. How did I do that? Go to that. What's that like? Now tell me how different those two are. Anybody?
Night and day.
Night and day. And how the one where it's the mind is going doing 1,000 things trying to protect you from dying. And in the divinity is this peace and calm knowing of how invincible you are and how powerful you are. How different are those? And how crazy is it that we spend so much time in that ego one and so little in our divinity? Imagine making the decision today. Okay, I'm in. Divinity it is. And letting go of that system, the ego system, the one that tries to stay alive of who you're not. Remember, it's not who you are. So it's creating those. So would you agree it's a big difference?
Yeah, Paul says in the divinity, I am completely spontaneous.
There. That's it.
And that's like whenever you were in Greece trying to find the power cord and you just say, hey, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Gilbert says, very different. Super heavy and nasty versus light and a tingling piece.
There you go, Gilbert. Okay. And that, what Paul said, completely spontaneous. That's what I'm talking about in the boulder jogging. There is no thought. There is no thought. Completely spontaneous. It's an awesome sport. Awesome sport. So
we need to get some video of you doing that.
I do have videos.
Oh, because we're creating an intro for the podcast.
Right.
So
And what was crazy when we were in Dubai, security guards chased me. They wouldn't let me boulder jog in Dubai, and it's one of the most beautiful, like everything is made up, like it's all made, man-made, and these boulders were the perfect boulders, and they wouldn't let me boulder jog. Yeah.
Janet, that's exactly what it is. She said my presentation on the weekend was created through divinity. Didn't stress or practice like I used to.
Way to go, Janet. Way to go, girl. That's it. That's the difference. So the reason I'm bringing this up so much is like, okay, if you're going to put building blocks, how about all these building blocks of how powerful our divinity is, how simple it is, how easy it is, how stressless it is, and then over here, how anxiety, panicked, rushed, all of those, how different they are.
Paul says divinity equals trust.
Yeah.
Trust in the divine.
And a knowing. There's that, it's the knowing. It's not a belief, it's a knowing. Big difference. So quite the difference. And so it'd be interesting for those of you that might be around boulder jogging a pier, and it is a little tricky right now.
Will we be doing the process on the 7th?
No, 22nd. Jamie does his thing on the 7th.
No, I thought we said that. So there's for the new people on the 7th, and then the former people on the 22nd. We'll talk to Jamie.
Yeah.
And we'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
Today's what, the 5th? We'll give you a solid answer tomorrow.
Sure.
It's done? Awesome. So we just have to send off the email.
Are you just telling me this now? We've been together for an hour and a half.
Spontaneous.
You're just telling me that now?
Spontaneous.
Get that divinity, wing it.
So Will just let me know that our developer for the affiliate partner program is finally finished. So we're ready to launch. We'll be sending off all the emails, and tomorrow.
Well, Jamie will be here later, and we'll.
Yeah, we'll probably meet up later and just get all that figured out.
Yeah.
So Jamie's coming back into town tonight. Oh wow, it's 11:11. Perfect timing.
What a coincidence.
Coincidence.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have some awesome news for you tomorrow. We'll confirm the 7th and then also the partner program. So make sure to be on. And if you have any questions or anything like that, just we'll be able to answer it all and get everything rolling. It's about time.
Yeah, for sure. So once again, when you think about coming back to that nocebo and placebo, and how many illnesses and diseases are created from that program, I would say somewhere in the vicinity of 99.9. That's how many.
And I think you're just being generous with the 0.1%.
Yeah.
Just for
1/10.
yeah, the 1/10%.
Yeah. Yeah. So once again, like yesterday, I mentioned, I think it was yesterday or the day before, Rosie, she died of cancer, breast cancer. And what happened was she missed her youngest boy, Harvey, died in Laos of a drug overdose. I think he was 22, 21, 22, 23, somewhere in that. And she missed him so much that she decided to leave to be with her son on the other side. So rather than seeing how much she still had of having a son and 2 daughters on this side, and me, and all of her friends, it was like, no, I want to be with my son. And that's how she created breast cancer. Why she created breast cancer? Because remember, she's listening to the seaweed. Even though she did the process, she didn't do it to the degree, and I can't force people, nor do I don't. And so that's how she figured out how to be with Harvey. She missed him so much, rather than letting go of the loss and the grief and the sadness and all of that. And so remember, there's no logic to that system. There's no logic. There's no making sense out of it. There isn't. Okay? And I'm talking about all of these, whether it's cancer or MS or like whatever, there's something going on inside that's got this turmoil. And most times, well, almost exclusively, that where it is in your body and what it is in your body tells the story of what's going on in how you see you and your world. That's what it is, you know, wherever it is. And that's what I start. I ask questions. I start knowing that it's like, you know, it's in my spine, or it's in my brain, or it's in my whatever. Well, there's a reason for that. There's something going on. And so that's the point I'm making here about these illnesses and where they get started. And they start from that ego, as ridiculous as it is, being terrified of seaweed. Okay? That's the system that's created the cancer, or the MS, or the whatever, over something that you are having difficulty with in your world. That's how that works. And so by shifting into our divinity and being in our light, then that's how these illnesses and injuries and diseases leave. And I've shared them. I've shared, like the lady that had the bulge. She had a bulge on the side of her, you know, on the side of her stomach wall about this size. That's how she described it. It's like right here. And it was 2 hours and 20 minutes that I worked with her. And she had a ton of symptoms, ton of them. And I said, when we were finished, I said, Janessa, do you notice anything different? She said, oh my God, it's gone. I said, what's gone, Janessa? That bulge I had in my stomach when I came here this morning, it's gone. Size of the fist.
Sheesh.
How amazing is that? Okay, like if you look at the one of creating it, is a sense of powerlessness and hopelessness and being guided by the seaweed programming. And her divinity, that's how powerful she was. She got rid of it in 2 hours and 20 minutes. Actually, I will rephrase that. I don't know for sure. I had no proof of this, but I believe it was gone soon as we went with that. It just burst like a boil. I don't have any way of proving that other than what I believe happened. And once again, she was the lady that had spent more time in the hospital in the last year than out. So more than half of 365 days in the hospital. And the next year, she went 1 day for tests. Like, how's that? Do you think there's something intellectual or emotional or something that created those symptoms? And how many of those happen? Okay.
So Eric says, I had a moment like Sam when swimming in the ocean and I got a leg cramp. And the ego told me I was going to drown. I panicked for a second or so, and then a calm came over me. And I just started to do the butterfly. And so I'm above the waves. I was so at peace at that present time. My light and vibration was high.
Way to go, Eric.
That's awesome.
Okay, that's the difference. Okay, so all we're doing here is showing you the difference between you being in your divinity and in your ego. If you're not in your divinity, you're in your ego. That's it. That's it.
It's that clean cut.
It's that clean cut. Either this clear, sharp knowing and just holding that vibration, or how's that going to work? Oh my God, you know, and you're thinking years ahead, planning and all of those things, all of those things, and the system's going just like the seaweed. It's in this panic, and just because you're not panicking because the seaweed's not in front of you doesn't mean it's not panicking. It's just lowered it from a 10 to a 3 or a 2 or a 4, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to your doctor and the doctor says, you have this. This is how serious it is. We either have to cut it out or you have to, you know, you only have this much time to live, so we have to do something quickly or whatever. But remember, it came from you terrified of seaweed. Like, I remember we were in the, my wife and I, my first wife, we were in the Empire State Building, and there's one level you go to. I can't remember the floors now. 104, and then the other one's 120 or something. Don't quote me on that. I'm just trying to remember. And so she came up to the first level, and there was walls out there, you know, like you could walk all the way around, lots of room. And I said, okay, well, let's go up to the next one. I want to go up to the top. No, I'm not going. I'm not going. I said, well, okay, you just wait here. I'm going. No, you're not going to leave me alone. Okay, which is it going to be? Because I'm going up. Are you coming with me? Or are you going to find a spot over there where you're quiet or whatever? So she came with me. And at the top, it's pure glass. You come out of the elevator and all you can see is glass. But all you can see is New York. Okay. And she and just hyperventilating and all of this. And she's standing on like the solid ground. Like not solid ground, but solid. It's just that there's nothing to block her from seeing everything. And so there's that crazy phobia. And that's the one that creates all of these illusions of everything in your world, that creates physical symptoms, mental symptoms, emotional symptoms, spiritual symptoms. It's the driver. So now it's like, okay, which operating system am I going to have? Most of you are on a computer or some technology. I'll guarantee you have some technology either in your hand or in your vehicle or your house or your office. You have technology. Am I correct? Would that be fair to say?
100%.
Okay. And we're trusting in a system that's completely and totally flawed. Completely and totally flawed, creating all of your issues. I have a beautiful lady that had multiple phobias, and also suicidal, and literally does not want to do anything about it. And so, guess what? That can't work for me. And that's the sad part. We have that free will, and the ego's got us so twisted to think the very opposite of what it is that's going on. Okay? That the very thing that's the best for you is the very thing the ego's got you convinced you're going to die from. How crazy is that statement? Literally, I'm going to die if I do this. I'm going to die. But what it is the ego is going to die. That's what's creating the phobias. And it's that has the phobia of dying and all of the phobias that go with it. Okay? So, any question? What do we got here?
Paul says docs are quick to offer a prescription to deal with the symptoms. That is what most medical practice offer for the solution.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah.
And that just, it doesn't do anything for the actual root cause. It's just covering up the symptoms. And this system isn't dealing with the symptoms.
Absolutely not.
It's the root cause.
It is the root cause. And, you know, these two boys here, I've worked with both of them. Okay? And different times. So Will had some awesome transformations. So did his beautiful wife, Chesser. And yet, when Paul and Donna, did I get them right? Or Tim and Donna,
Yeah, you got it right the first time.
Okay, Paul and Donna. Okay, thank you. Forgiveness, I don't remember this. And when you shared, Paul, and broke down, crying, and so did Donna, and talking about how you were harming each other, you know, with the criticism or judgment, whatever those things are. I don't remember that kind of stuff. And then Will and Chester sitting here, and when we were finished, they were crying because they got triggered by what you said, which is still, as much as Will has done the process, has done it, the ego still found a way to hold on to something. Agreed, Will? 100%. And how they still had this back and forth, that critical, judgmental, boom, boom. And it took that story from you guys to pull that out where it couldn't be hidden anymore by the ego. And right soon as we were finished, I worked with both of them, and how that's what, 3 weeks? 2 weeks. And what's it been like in the last 2 weeks, Will?
In love every day.
Did you hear that, everyone?
No, they did it.
In love every day. every time. And before it was critical, judgmental, criticizing, what's wrong. Now remember, the ego is noticing what's wrong and thinking the worst. Noticing what's wrong, thinking the worst. That's how you know it's ego. Noticing what's wrong. What are you noticing what's wrong right now? Any of you? What are you noticing what's wrong? Whether it's the tone of my voice, or going too long, or not long enough, or whatever. It's like noticing what's wrong. Yeah, hiding and pretending and tricking you to believe that what it's saying is true. Whereas your divinity is solid, it's rock solid, it's immovable, and it's ineffable, and it's all powerful. Now I'm telling you what we talked about yesterday about the death and the dying and overcoming death and dying. What we're doing is overcoming the ego, because there's no death and dying. There is no death and dying when we are in our divinity. And the higher we go in recognizing the thickness and the depth and the power and the strength and the toweringness of our divinity, the more that we are becoming invincible. We already have the invincibility. It's just that we are allowing the ego to interfere with that invincibility. So we're not getting something. You're not getting something. You're not receiving something from me or anyone. What you're doing is accessing what's already there. Did you get that? What?
Post it.
Right. Okay. And so that's what we're talking about here, of being in your light. Once again, Rosie picked breast cancer to die. Now I'm telling you, I'll tell you exactly what happened. We were in bed in the morning, and she was going on the train to the States, somewhere in the States, for these treatments. And I just turned to her, this is 5 in the morning. Rosie, I'm not sure if you're aware of it or not, but you've already made a decision to die. Let me know if you're interested in doing something different about that. And I get up. Then I was driving her to the train station. And she said, "You're right, Don. Will you help me?" That was her first sign of surrender. But I found out not too far in that she just said that to please me. It had nothing to do with what she really wanted to do. Okay? So that's my wife, Rosie. 3 months later, my daughter, Shelley. And she had ovarian cancer. And her husband was a narcissist. You know, you hear Jamie talking about him being a seriously powerful narcissist. Well, so is Shelley's husband. And that base, like it's ovarian. It's like the birth of something. And she couldn't let it go. And so she chose the traditional model, the medical, rather than mine, to people please her narcissistic husband. And she ended up dying. But I'll tell you a little story about that. She was 3 months in bed for 3 months. Now, she lived out in the country, so on Prince Edward Island. And she was, for 3 months, the only thing she did was she got out of bed, went to the bathroom, and got back into bed. She did that for 3 months. 3 solid months. And I had talked to her about her ovarian cancer and whatever, but she just She was so caught up in pleasing her husband that that would work. Anyway, so rather than causing this constant conflict, I just backed off and let her make her decision. Anyway, one day she decided to let me work with her. So I took her through the process of what I knew at the time. And that day, now keeping in mind, for 3 months, she was in bed. She got up out of bed. She went into the living room and cleaned the living room, and then walked down to the shore, which was about a quarter of a mile, and back. The next day, she got up and she cleaned the kitchen and the dining room and cleaned out the fridge, and then went to town with her husband, and then come back and we went for a walk together. Now, how is that possible? Like, how are those so dramatically differently possible? Now, I know she could have survived, and so could have Rosie. But we have to leave people with their choices. And unfortunately, I lost both loved ones within 15 months. So, and watching them make crazy, toxic decisions, crazy, toxic, death-defying decisions. But, you know, I can't interfere. I can't. I will bump up against. But that's as much as I do.
That's the extent of it.
Yeah. Yeah. You decide. You decide. Tell me what your decision is. So, anyway, there we have it. What would you summarize? What's that word?
So you're saying, what would you summarize is the phobia / the ego that the doctors are operating under? It's just the ego.
What would,
I think what would, like, is there a phobia that they're operating under, that the doctors are operating under?
well, that's all individual. Like, we're talking about the person that has something. There's a phobic thing going on, and of course, the doctors are, you know, they're either wanting to be the greatest doctor in the world or whatever. It's like the great I am. And lots of times I've worked with doctors. I worked with Dr. Carmody, and he had 5 symptoms. And he was a doctor of internal medicine. He had 5 symptoms. And I took him through the process. And within 2 days, they were all gone. I don't know how many people he sent me. 40, 50, 60. Just kept sending me people with all these symptoms. This is a doctor of internal medicine. And once he got his cleaned up, you know, I don't know exactly what it was. I wouldn't say if I did, but that's what I'm talking about. That the whole system right now. That's why it's so important to get this out to the world. Imagine people healing themselves, or at least finding out how they're creating these toxic illnesses and diseases. At the very least, know that. So anyway, so there you have it. It's been quite a journey, actually, and it's definitely not over. We're going to keep moving forward here, and especially with the news we just got. I just got.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah.
Today was a great topic, very insightful. I'm sure everyone got a lot out of it. We're right on, so day 57 today, right? So tomorrow's day 58. We'll announce the partner program, and then we'll confirm if we're going to be doing the 7th or not. I mean, it's
That's, well, Jamie will be here, like I'm pretty sure, the whole idea now, okay? Jamie's birthday is on the 7th, mine's on the 22nd. That's why we picked those 2 dates.
That's what I thought, but I mean that
So-
from what what's her name? Tiffany said yesterday, she was saying that, oh, the 7th is for new people and then the 22nd is for former people. But we'll figure out.
Yeah.
Spontaneous.
Whatever it is, and we'll mark it on the concrete wall to remember it after this. But anyway, I'm not into memorization, and I just remember birth date. Okay, 22nd for Dawn. Done. Okay, I got that.
That's so funny.
7th for Jamie. So anyway, so it's been a pleasure. I'm really pleased to hear such interest that you have over this, and we trust that with that interest, that you will bring so many people in to have your transformation. Because know this, in the amount of time that we have been here today, I could have transformed 100 people. Okay, it's so it's like, you know, just having this foundation for people to understand, so they can be more aware to walk into something that makes some semblance of sense, even though the ego is going to do everything it can. No, don't listen to that. Don't listen to that. That's crazy. Like it's voodoo. It's like, you know, whatever that is. And it will go on and on and on, like the seaweed, telling you how you're going to die by doing it. But you need to know one thing. That's the ego doing it, and it's the ego that's going to die. And that's why it's so intense at trying to get you to do something harmful for you, so that you will die. Okay? Instead of it. Doesn't care about you. Only cares about it. Okay? Got that? So, totally fear-driven, panic-driven. And phobias are just a higher level of panic. That is. And so, just like my wife, when she came out of the Empire State Building, oh my God. And I said, now we had a 2.5-story, 5-bedroom farmhouse on 7 acres of land on Prince Edward Island. And I said to her, Wilma, think about the looking out the 2nd-story window, looking over at Charlottetown. She did that, and I went like this, boom, gone. Oh, what a beautiful view. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. So let's use the system that we have in our favor rather than against ourselves. How be we do that? How be we do that? Okay? So enjoy. Have an awesome day.
Can we get the video up just to give everyone a refresher before we launch the partner program tomorrow, the one of Jamie overview? So we'll leave you with this. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Philippines time, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're excited. Get your friends and your family on tomorrow. It is official. We're ready to go, ready to launch. And yeah, I am Divinity, and so are you. See you.
You betcha. Take care. Fun day today?
Hi there, my name is Jamie Devine. Welcome to I Am Divinity. I'm super excited for you to embark on this journey. Just congratulations for even finding I Am Divinity. My journey has been over 16 years of personal development, spiritual programs, multiple religions. I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 13. I never had a regular job. And so going through all of that, showing up to Don Smith 4 years ago to take his instant and permanent transformation, first of all, sounded a little hard to believe because I had done so much work and I still had all my shit. I was still an alcoholic, a weed addict, a narcissist. My financial gains in business and investing would shoot up and then cut right down and start over, shoot up, cut right down, and I could never hold my, my success. Going through his program, it was about 2 hours. All of my toxic patterns and programs were completely gone. Literally just gone in a second. And I can't even describe how liberating that moment was for me. But right after that, I told Don, I said, I don't want to do any of the business that I'm currently doing. I woke up to my purpose for coming to the planet when Don told me his vision of raising humanity's consciousness to the level of 700 on the scale, enlightenment, which was the cause of all causes. The level of consciousness is the cause of all of our individual and collective problems on the planet. And so to finally have that solution, experiencing that solution for myself, I just wanted to tell everyone and anyone that would listen. And of course, with all my entrepreneur background and my skills in marketing, I made an agreement with Don so that I could just, literally my job would be to hold my light and share my light with others and bring them to the process and actually get compensated for it. And so I'm super excited to announce that we've now created this entire system for you too. Now imagine that, being able to go through this instant and permanent transformation for yourself, be liberated of all your toxic patterns and programs, literally within a couple hours. And then on top of that, being able to have all your financial fuel and energy and livelihood come from this divine system. And so there's a few pieces to it. Number one, we have an affiliate partnership program. So you're a partner. Your job is to hold your light, share your light, and anyone that's attracted to it, bring them to the program, and we pay out 30% of all the financial part of the system to you. That's the first part. The second part is my experience in the financial realm took me into Forex and crypto over the last 10 years. And I've been through all the roller coaster rides, all the ups and downs, all the scams and schemes. And we landed on just a couple people that were actually full of integrity, that have actually gone through the divinity process, and that are like nothing else. So our Forex fund is ran by an institutional trader. And if you've ever done anything in the financial realm in Forex, 99% of the retail space, the average everyday person, it's a scam. It's a scheme. You're going to lose your money. Maybe you're one of the few that got in early and took the money from the others, but eventually it collapses. I've seen them come and go over the years. But this institutional trader, he has 7 years of experience, and we have his entire track record of his strategy. He has an algorithm. He spent over $20 million in development up to this point. And so even with all that being said, there's still no guarantees. Of course, when it comes to investing, please only risk what you can afford. But we found something that's more solid than I've ever experienced, and it's where our personal funds are. And so you'll have access to that as well. His team has produced over the last 7 years on average 50 to 60% per year on the funds. And you don't have to do anything. You open up the brokerage account, our team will help you do that, and you park your funds there like you would a bank account, and his algorithm trades on all of the accounts. And so we can expect a 50 to 60% if it's anything like the previous average. But again, all the past performance never guarantees anything in the future. Just please be mindful of that. And then the last piece is our crypto fund. Now the crypto fund is very time sensitive. So a good friend of mine, Josh, who's handling the crypto fund, he's become an expert at this stuff. That's all he does every day. He goes and researches the top legitimate projects in crypto. To give you an example, in 2021, which was the last crypto bull run, Josh on his personal portfolio did over 8,000% that year. 8,600 to be exact. And so this was a kid that was 21 at the time and had his life savings in crypto and became a millionaire over that year of investing. And so just this last year, Josh told me, hey, I'm going to do what I did last bull run, but I'm going to open it to a few friends and family. I said, Josh, no problem. I trust you. I sent him the funds for myself, and then I said, Josh, I want to open this up to our entire community. He said, well, I don't know if legally that's a little tough. I said, don't worry, I'll work on that. And we created Divine Markets, which is a legal entity to be able to facilitate this, both the Forex fund and the crypto fund. And so we overcame that, and Josh is exclusively handling all the crypto for our community. And his target for the next year is 1,000%, about a 10x on the funds. And again, there's absolutely no guarantees. Please only risk what you can afford to risk. And so that's it. That's the overview. It's pretty simple. You got the affiliate partnership program, which again is just going to share the financial part with you so that you can actually create a network and an income for yourself while holding your light and sharing your light. Which, by the way, going through this process, we wouldn't be able to pay you to not tell people about it, because you're just going to be radiating and people are going to be attracted to you. And so we just wanted to create a system where we're all partners in this to reach that goal of 114 superheroes of light that are holding this and shifting humanity's consciousness. And so I welcome you to be a part of that vision and mission and part of our team. And I'm excited for you to go through your process. By the way, all of this financial part is only exclusively available to those of you that have gone through the process and committed to that. So it's not going to be available to anyone else. So what a bonus, what a reward for accessing your light and holding it, that you get access to an institutional trading fund that you wouldn't be able to get access to unless you had $250,000 and you're an accredited investor and all those things that the institutions look for. So we created a bridge for you on that. And the crypto fund, unless you know someone like Josh, and even if you did, it's not cheap or easy to get involved with those things. But we've made it easy for those of you that go through this process. It's a $500 minimum on the Forex fund, $500 minimum on the crypto fund. So that's it. I'm excited for you, and we'll see you on the other side.